starring a very young Nick Nolte and Don Johnson.
Return to Macon County. First of all, hands up, have you ever heard of this movie? I watched this movie for the first time when I was 15 years old. My stepdad, I don't remember which number stepdad it was, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've had so many daddies, who the hell knows? Anyway, summer of 1958 is where the movie is supposed to take place. Okay, and it never really says throughout the movie, but we're going to the Grand Nationals. Now, I'm assuming we're talking about drag racing Grand Nationals. It might be road racing or something like that, because Southern California, I'm sorry, today, Southern California hates cars, okay, unless they're electric. Back in the day, that was the mecca of the whole thing. Anyway, so we're traveling to the Grand Nationals for drag racing. First of all, it's set in 1975 in reality, but it's set in 1958. Nick Nolte and Don Johnson. Ah! Look at how young them little kiddies were. Nick Nolte, that's Bo. Don Johnson, that's Harley. And guess what? Don Johnson, he has a problem with women and chasing after women in this movie, just like he did in his real life. Don, I love you, baby. I love you. I'm just saying, you know, when the split comes up, you get all whacked out. Anyway, so we're traveling across the country, and we've got a hot rod 1957 Chevrolet. I mean, bad. And I'm assuming that it's nitrous. I think some kind of form of nitrous, because I don't know what else it could be. Anyway, the 57 Chevy, it's hot. Quarter mile in 8.7 seconds. That's a little. That sucker would have been moving back in 1958 at 8.7 seconds. Dom and Paul Walker, they ain't got nothing like that. Well, Paul ain't got shit, but anyway, Dom, he ain't got nothing like that. And that was back in the 50s with them little bitty polyglass tires. But anyway, it's a movie, right? We got to have a little fun. Hold on just one second. Okay, so in our jaunt across the country, guess what? We run into Janelle. And Janelle is firecracker. We like Janelle. Nick Nolte really likes Janelle. But anyway, Janelle is, she's crazy. Like bona fide whack job, okay? Of course, there's going to be like a little scene here where we've picked up Janelle and now we've got to go have a little adult time. But remember, this is back in the day, so we're not going to have any raunchy scenes. Well, while Nick is knocking the bottoms, Don Johnson, Bo's knocking bottoms, Harley's got to go do something. He's got to go race. So he heads into town and he runs into Dreamboat, a brunette cheerleader flopping her pom-poms in a Cadillac convertible. Yeah! You knew he was in. Well, he runs into some bad boys of the town. I don't know where the town is. I have no idea. You picked the town and that's where it was. I don't think it ever says it. But anyway, some boys in a Ford. Shoebox is what they called them Fords. Anyway, they had a fast car too. So, after some negotiations, I don't turn a cam. Dude offered to race him for $20. Harley, Don Johnson's like, no, bruh, I don't turn a cam for less than 50. Anyway, the joke's on. We're racing. We're doing the whole thing. So we're heading out to the racing site, and lo and behold, the 57 Chevy walks the Ford. I mean, the Ford was there until he flipped the switch, okay? So I'm assuming the switch is nitrous. Let's go with that, just because I'm going to use that for the rest of the video. So nitrous, we flipped the switch. We won. Well, guess what? Dude in the shoebox, he's not happy. Matter of fact, he's real pissed off because he feels like he's been stolen from. That son of a bitch cheated. Now, there was no rules that said you couldn't use nothing, no power adders, no switch adders, nothing like that. But he's been cheated because he ain't never seen nothing like that. He ain't never had his ass mopped across the floor. But anyway, that's what happened. Well, Harley, he gets whacked out pretty good. So guess what? We all know Nick Nolte has a temper. If you've never seen Cape Fear, God, that's a good movie with De Niro before De Niro went insane. But anyway, whew, woo! Anyway, so Nick's pissed off. He's going to stop clapping cheeks for a second. We're heading back into town. Well, all hell breaks loose. I mean, we're talking it goes really bad from here. They take Janelle, and Janelle goes and gets the money back from the guys, but she pulls a weapon. Unbeknownst to anybody, she's packing a 45 or a 38. It doesn't matter. She's packing a noisemaker. Well, she uses the noisemaker to get the money back from the boys in the 50 Ford or Ford, whatever, the shoebox. In the escape, because the Ford boys, they're coming. In the escape, they run into a police officer, an officer of the law. Well, the officer in the law of the law, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Matter of fact, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I believe it's Sergeant Whitaker is his name. It's funny how they always use Whitaker. When I think of Whitaker, I think of Flip Whitaker in the movie Flight. If you've never seen Denzel in the movie Flight, the opening scene, well, not the opening scene, where the crack of dawn. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. Okay, Sergeant Whitaker. Sergeant Whitaker, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. He's coming. Well, they escaped Sergeant Whitaker. They beat him or whatever. So Sergeant Whitaker, now his entire life is revolved around getting these boys. He's coming for these boys, okay? Bo and Harley, you're in trouble. This man wears it like a badge of honor to go get these kids. Now, don't forget, in the middle of all of this, now you've got a crazy cop that has nothing else to do but come after you, which technically you did slam into his squad car. But they were trying to be nice, and Sergeant Whitaker, like I said, had a chip on his shoulder, woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It doesn't matter. They coming, and the boys in the shoebox, they're still coming. Well, we need to lay low for just a little while, right? Because the yellow 57 Chevrolet, it's a bright yellow 57 Chevy. There's a few more running around on the streets. I mean, back in the 50s, hot colors, those were cool. But a 57 Chevrolet with some paint by number flames at the bottom of the fenders, it's going to stand out. So we're going to hang out for the night. We're going to camp out. We're going to sit tight. We're going to wait. Okay, now in the midst of all of this, they're on the run. Okay, you've got Janelle is hooked up with Bo, Nick Nolte. Don Johnson, Harley, he doesn't have because they've left Dreamboat. All right, Dreamboat, remember the Cadillac pom-poms, shaking pom-poms? She's gone. They had to run away from her. Remember, she was in high school. It's crazy. Anyway, so Don, I told you, remember, he has a problem. He's promiscuous. He's frisky. So he finds a nice little girl, and she takes all of the money that they've taken back from the guys in the shoebox. So now they have no money. They have the shoebox guys that are coming after them, which they beat fairly, and then they beat them, and then they beat them again, and now the girl's got all the money. The promiscuous girl, the slash. Anyway, we're not going to finish that sentence. Anyway, now they're broke. And remember, Sergeant Whitaker, he's still on that ass. Harley, if it had just kept in his pants, it'll get you in trouble. Think with this head. You have two heads. Well, that doesn't go very well. We've camped out. We've stayed out. We're going to take off, and we're heading out. And what happens? The very first thing we do, we've snuck out on the highway, we run into Sergeant Whitaker, who's been sipping coffee and sitting on the fender of that jalopy all night long, waiting. As they approach, he shows, which they call it a scatter gun. No. That. He holds up a scatter, a noisemaker, a popper. I might have to edit that. Anyway, holds up a popper, and he pops off. Sergeant Whitaker is now, he's gone. He's history. He's going to get him. It doesn't matter what happens, because his whole entire life has now come to they've disrespected me and they've disrespected the law. He's coming. So now we're chasing. Well, he runs into some good old boys, Whitaker, and some good old boys inform him that he is in their swimming pool. He's in their backyard. So watch his step. It's coming up on night time. We got to hide out. Well, Janelle and Bo, they get into an argument now. So not only, it's all coming to a head now because Don Johnson, Harley, is pissed off because they need to be in California at the Grand Nationals. The car's wrecked. They've wrecked it all up. It's scratched up. It don't look like it did at the beginning of the movie, 45 minutes ago. Anyway, so here we go. They're going to duke it out. Nick Nolte, Don Johnson, they're going to throw hands. Janelle takes off. She can't handle this. It's too much stress for her. She's leaving. What does she run into? The sons of bitches in the freaking shoebox Ford. Well, in their journey, they've picked up a long barrel. I don't know what kind of gauge. You'd have to ask my son. It's just a noisemaker. I use that G word again. I'm going to have to edit again. Anyway, they're coming. So now they've chased them back into this old derelict house, and it occurs to them. Where's the car? Where's the car? We want the 57 Chevy. Because remember, they're only chasing these guys. Remember, recap. They're chasing because Janelle pulled a burner on them and stole the winnings of the race. Now, granted, they didn't win the money from beating Harley, Don Johnson. Remember earlier, they didn't win that money. They took it after beating up. But anyway, there we go. I'm just giving you a little recap there because I think you might need to know why the 50 Ford or the shoebox, I don't know why I keep going to 50, why the shoebox is still relevant. Anyway, so we get the 57 and we're taking off. But guess what? Little scene flip. Don Johnson and Nick Nolte and Janelle get into the shoebox. Because, see, they found the 57, so they go to try to take the 57. They steal the 57. So the bad guys driving the Ford are now in the Chevy. They don't know how bad of an idea that was. See, they think they've done it. They think they have hit home runs. They stole the 57. They got the fast car, too. Sergeant Whitaker's out there. Remember Sergeant Whitaker? Bloodhound? Buford T. Justice? He could take notes from Sergeant Whitaker. Anyway, as they approach, remember, they're coming up on the roadblock. The kids in the 57, they're going to run the roadblock. They get blasted on. Bad shit starts happening. One of the kids don't make it. Well, in that process, guess what? Sergeant Whitaker, he finds out that's not the right kids. Over off in the forest, Nick Nolte, Don Johnson, and Janelle, they're watching Bo, Harley, and Janelle, should say they're movie characters. Sorry, Nick Nolte and Don Johnson. That's why we made this the first movie of Hobbly Nation. Anyway, they're watching from afar. Nick Nolte can't handle the blame. He can't handle the weight of the situation. He goes. We're going up there. As they approach, the police let them go. Sergeant Whitaker's in the back of the police car now because he's committed cold-blooded. You know what I'm saying? He is now allegedly the M word. What is it? 187? Yeah, he's a 187er. Anyway, as they're driving by in the shoebox, Sergeant Whitaker, that's them. That's them. He knows it's the kids. But the cops, they don't pay him any mind because remember, Sergeant Whitaker is whacked out at this point, okay? Just straight up. So anyway, now the 57 is impounded. Okay, it's history. There is no 57. And now it's Janelle, Harley, and Bo heading to California in the shoebox. Nick Nolte realizes that the shoebox will eventually become hot. So he ditches the shoebox. And this is the twist you didn't see coming. Janelle decides to leave him right there on the side of the road. Nick takes it pretty good. He takes it pretty good. But, so now at the end of the movie, I guess they're still heading to the Grand Nationals. They're just going to enter the foot race Grand Nationals. Anyway, this is kind of a corny movie, and I understand that, okay? I was 15 the first time I ever saw it. It was one of my first, it wasn't my first fast car movie like that, but it was one of the first. I happen to like it. Nick Nolte and Don Johnson, two of my favorites. Nobody can get pissed off like Nick Nolte. Anyway, please let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this. I've been wanting to kind of do movies like this for a while, and I feel like it's a time to start mixing things up. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this. Have a hobbly.